who has come...
It's not a very big top weight, as Paddy Busserton said, coming up in the plane. 56.5, the equivalent of 8 stone 13. And Grant Cooksley, the magic man, in the saddle. Remember that he's taken this ride ahead of Solveig. Number 2, Eastern Joy, will be ridden by Lance O'Sullivan. Number 3, Lack of Reason, Gary Phillips. Really bad luck meeting for Alan Jones. He's had to scratch our Sophia from the Cup, and so we go on to number 5, that's Solveig, and David Walsh takes the ride today. It's been surrendered by Cooksley. Number 6, we're told, Earl Harrison. Number 7, Joel, Roy Mackay. Number 8, Blyme, John Dowling. And number 9, Bounty Hawk, the son of Bel Marino, who's already won nearly $1 million, Jim Collett. Number 10, Darius Fun, another mare with a big chance, David Peake. Number 11 is Lou, Shane Treweek. He's already won a race today. Number 12, 12 gauge. Somebody suggested to me that was an omen, Marie Linden. We'll just check that. And indeed, the semaphore board confirms that Marie will have them out on 12 gauge. 13, Royal Heights, Warwick Robinson. 14, Threesome, Greg Childs. 15, Beaver Boy, John Hayes. He's ridden 2 today. 16, Fort Cheval, Gary Grills. 17, Kotare Chief, Jock Caddigan. Number 21, Regimental March, David Johnson. And number 22, Brook Bond, Jimmy Carter.
Okay, the first horse we'll look at the moment is the Filbert at $4.30 and $2 even. Number 2 in the book is Eastern Joy, who was at $6 and $2.70. Number 3 is Lack of Reason. At the moment, 35 the win, $10 the place. Scratch 4, our Sophia. Number 5 is Solveig. She's at $12 and $4.40. 6 is Whitall, $92 and 23. That's a bit better, I'm sure, for the punters. Number 7, Joel, is at $49 and 12. 8 is Blyme, who's at $33 and $8.40. Number 9 is Bounty Hawk, 20 the win, $5.70 the place. Number 10 is Darius Fun, who is at $24 and $6.40. 11 is Lou, 47 the win, 11 the place. Having firmed a little bit from our original reckoning is 12 gauge at $7.40 and $2.30. Number 13 is Royal Heights, who's at $10 and $3 even. 14 is Threesome at 40 the win and 10 the place. Number 15 is Beaver Boy, 54 and 15. 16 is Fort Cheval, quite well supported at $13 and $3.70. Kotare Chief is at 27 and $6.60. And it takes us to the 2 lightweights, and they're not without a chance either. 21, Regimental March, is one of the favourites for the race at $7.70 and $2.50. And number 22, Brook Bond, is at 32 the win and $7.60. Here's the Filbert, and this is the horse that has done a tremendous amount of travelling over the years. He's done so well in Australia. He recorded a great success in Japan, and he is in as good a form as he's ever been in his life. Number 5, Solveig, the winner of the Avondale Cup. 6 is Whitall, just moving through, one of the outsiders. Number 8 is Blyme. There's number 11 now, and that is Lou. 12 gauge, number 12. 13, Royal Heights, a bonny mare and a big chance in the big race. Here's number 14, Threesome. 15, Beaver Boy, just walking around quietly. These are some of the starters in the race. Well, Grant, I think a good sign for some of these horses that are early into the parade ring. Obviously, most of them fairly settled for the big race.
Yes, they are. They're looking remarkably settled, Philip, as you'd expect from staying type horses. They're trained to stay the 2 miles, or most of them are anyway. I suppose some of them probably won't on the day, but they are looking remarkably calm and collected, some of these horses. There's Brook Bond going past us here. That went a great race in the railway, on the railway, in the Queen Elizabeth, I beg your pardon, running second. And of course it was placed in the Derby last year and 5th in the Derby last year. Although it's from a speed sire, it seems to get the distance all right, and it's certainly a lightweight chance, that horse.
Number 22 is Brook Bond, one of the lightweight chances. Young Jimmy Carter, he's an English jockey. He's been out here for some time now, probably 3 months, and he's ridden with some great success. And he is on a real lightweight chance in the race in Brook Bond. Really wouldn't have been given a chance. It's only a Class 3 horse, but has come into reckoning with a bonny run behind Regimental March in the Queen Elizabeth. Any chance, in your opinion, Brian?
Oh, he's got to be a chance after that Queen Elizabeth run, Phil. As you say, it's a bit of a conundrum because he's by a sprinting sire. But, boy, he's got weight on his side. He's only got 47 kilograms, and that's 10 kg less than weight for age. And a body run, as you say, in the Queen Elizabeth, he hadn't won until Regimental March came along. And now he's a kilo better off in relation to Regimental March. And I think that, too, he's only had the 4 races this season and may still very well be on the up. And I think as far as he's gone with those 4 races and the run in the Queen Elizabeth, you've got to admire the achievement of trainer Adrian McNamee. He's certainly managed to get him ready well.
Well, down here in the birdcage at Ellerslie, I'd like to introduce you to this very lovely lady, Pauline Carden. Out onto the main concourse go the DB Clydesdales, and there they are. What a magnificent sight they make. A marvellous team of horses, 6 of them in fact, and they're real characters, these Clydesdales. They've been sponsored or supported by Dominion Breweries, who are, of course, the major sponsors of the Auckland Cup. And they really do look a picture. Later in the day, we hope to have Trish Stratford around there to get a few words with 1 or 2 of those fellows, the old fellows there in front, and we'll get their opinion on the outcome of the Railway Handicap, which is the second leg of the double. But these are the horses that matter. Number 1, the Filbert, leads out the field for the DB Auckland Cup. 2, just in behind, is Eastern Joy. Can she improve on her form in the Queen Elizabeth when she ran a very promising 6th? There's number 3 now. This is Lack of Reason. He's the sort of horse that really you must always respect, but he hasn't got the form behind him at the moment. Here's number 5 now. This is Solvig. She won the Avondale Gold Cup. She's in brilliant form at the moment, and she looks extremely well. An outsider is number 6, Whitall. He's paying all sorts of money, about $100 to win, but he would cause a sensation if he won. There's number 7 now, Joel, another who's struggling for good form at the moment. She would cause a little bit of an upset. Number 8 is Blyme. He's come a long way from the south to take part in this race. Number 9 is Bounty Hawk. You must always respect a horse that's has won as much money as him. 10 is Daria's Fun.
Returning from a recent stint in Perth, Australia. Leading rider of the year previous.
And it is time, as we feature the DB Auckland Cup from Ellerslie, to welcome Sky Channel from Perth, the channel that are bringing to their many viewers throughout Australia coverage of this feature race here in New Zealand, the $275,000 DB Auckland Cup. Welcome to you in Australia as we look at the horses about to make their way out onto the track. Number 12 gauge, just moving out onto the track. Number 13, Royal Heights, a very good mare indeed. 14, Threesome. Well, time to update the field. Here's Brian O'Flaherty to give us a recap for our Australian viewers.
Right, 275,000 New Zealand dollars at stake. In the top weight, the Filbert. 3rd in the Cox Plate, Grant Cooksley. Eastern Joy, Lance O'Sullivan. Lack of Reason, Gary Phillips. Solvig, David Walsh. Fitoli, Earl Harrison. Joel, Roy Mackay. Blimey, John Dowling. Bounty Hawk, well known in Australia, Jim Collett. Daria's Fun, David Peake. Lou, Shane Treweek. 12 gauge, Marie Linden. Royal Heights, Warwick Robinson. Threesome, Greg Childs. Beaver Boy number 15, Johnny Hayes. 16 Fort Cheval, Gary Grills. Kotare Chief, Jock Caddigan. And the bottom 2 in the list, David Johnson will ride Regimental March and Brook Bond in the hands of Englishman Jimmy Carter.
So under the arc they go for the DB Auckland Cup, these horses that'll line up, and it's considered by many to be one of the most even fields for years. The Filbert, the horse that travelled so far last year to Japan and performed with distinction running into 3rd, has never really been performing better. 3 straight wins, a win in the Waikato Gold Cup. He's racing well, and he must be respected in light of that very good form. And that man on top is riding as well as any jockey in Australasia at the moment. Grant Cooksley can do no wrong, and he must be respected for that fact alone. So the DB Clydesdales take the official field down, and we'll get a chance to look at these horses closely as they make their way round to the start. There's a a lovely view from the inside of the course, with the thousands of people packing the stands, watching by as the horses make their way out to the start point for the 3,200-metre DB Auckland Cup. Regimental March, the Queen Elizabeth Handicap winner, looks well, has no weight on its back, and is obviously got to be respected. There's Royal Heights. She also looks extremely well. She's the mare that comes in with a great background, being by Sir Tristram out of Claudine, making her a very close relation of that good horse in Battle Heights.
Next out is Kotare Chief. He's the white for the blue sashes.
First horse down already. In fact, almost at the start is number 16, Fort Cheval. He's a very respected Type 2. Gary Grills is the rider. Tony Gillies of Matamata has timed his preparation superbly, and he must certainly be respected. Well, now down in the birdcage joining me are a couple of respected journalists in Mike Dillon, a well-known freelance journalist, and also...
Well, it's just about all been said, hasn't it, Phil? He's won all of his 3 starts since the spring campaign in Melbourne. Let's not overlook the fact that Don Coochman's due for a bit of compensation here, because if you remember, he took this horse to Melbourne. He ran that slashing third in the Cox Plate, that historic Cox Plate behind Bone Crusher and Waverley Star. Then he went to run in the Melbourne Cup, and they did a Kiwi on him and took him out. All that had happened to him was that he'd moved a shoe on his foot, but those Melbourne vets obviously are extremely sensitive to the possibility of a horse running when it's perhaps not quite sound. And although Don was quite certain that the Filbert was sound, he was taken out. So today's his chance to get at some of the big money. And man, look at the guy that's riding him. He's won the 1,000 Guineas, the New Zealand Cup, the Waikato Cup, the Avondale Cup, the New Zealand Derby, the Rotorua Cup, the Selwyn Motors Stakes. He's been suspended also in the last week and fined $500 for causing interference too. But Grant Cooksley is certainly riding as he's never ridden before.
Here's now Eastern Joy. She's to be ridden by Lance O'Sullivan and comes from the very strong O'Sullivan stable.
Phil, I can't help wondering if we're going to have a repeat of the Derby here. You know, we saw such a strong lineup of fillies. Numerically, they were very much in the minority, and yet they finished 1st, 2nd and 4th. And we've got a very good lineup of mares in the Cup today too. This mare was 6th in the Queen Elizabeth after an interrupted run. And after that, Lance O'Sullivan was very confident that she would get the 3,200 metres. Curiously, of course, Isaiah 3 Legs was a straight-out sprinter, and there's not a terrible lot of stamina performance in the bottom line. But apart from Eric and Mrs. Pinker, there'll be 2 other people hoping that Eastern Joy wins this. Courtney and Ainsley Howell of the Ainsley Downs stud have a half sister coming up at the Waikato sale.
Here's number 3 now. This is Lack of Reason. Lack of Reason races for Margaret Bull of Awapuni, the trainer, and Gary Phillips, who's often been associated with the Filbert, is aboard Lack of Reason.
He didn't go well enough in the Queen Elizabeth, Phil, I don't think, and his best distance might be around 2,000 metres, even though he did finish 3rd in the Caulfield Cup. I think you've got to say there's less than an abundance of stamina close up on either side, although Sound Reason's daughter Rationale did run a good 2,400 metres in the Derby.
Now Solvig, she's the mare that won the Lion Avondale Cup in grand style, and they say that if the pace suits her, she's got to be a danger. She'll be ridden today by David Walsh.
This may be the problem, of course, the puzzle at this stage, who's going to make the pace. And indeed, if they dawdle as they did in the Clifford Plate the other day, then she perhaps will be hard to beat. Despite the fact that she's in New Zealand Oaks winner, there's some doubt, I think, though, about her stamina. The family's very strong, but mostly known for sprinting, and that also sums up her sire Imposing. And although she was impressive in the Avondale Cup, I think perhaps, as you say, her best hope is that it'll be a slowly run first mile.
There's only one man who in fact has been capable of winning the Auckland Cup, the Wellington Cup and the New Zealand Cup in one season. And now this is the horse that did most of his racing in Australia. Would you believe that he's won $921,000 in stake money? That makes a pretty good horse. Number 9, Bounty Hawk.
He could go to the million today, Phil. You can disregard, as Mike Dillon said, those 2 zeros at the end of his form. He had shocking runs in the Avondale Cup and the Manawatu Cup, and he's a top horse. Although, like our Sophia, the Australians have seen more of him than we have, and he's certainly bred to get the trip.
Here's Blyme. Now, we gave John Dowling a mention before, but it wasn't, in fact, John Dowling sitting in the inquiry room. But number 8, Blyme, is win a good race in the New Zealand Cup, running second.
Yes, and that was over 3,200 metres, of course, so there shouldn't be any worries about this horse getting the distance. Ran 6th in the Avondale Cup. It didn't really go all that well in the Queen Elizabeth here on Boxing Day. Number 8, Blyme, currently on the tote at 34 and $8.60, and I think that perhaps is a fair reflection.
Number 10 is Daria's Fun. She's been set for one race this season, and this is it. Daria's Fun, Susan Ellis of Pukekohe, the trainer.
The form's solid. She's by a son of Alchimedes, and hers was one of the eye-catching runs in the Queen Elizabeth. She drops 4 kilograms. To me, she's one of the top chances.
There'll be no doubt about his ability to stay the distance. That's number 11, Lou, who's another outside chance.
I think this horse might be just lacking in the class to win an Auckland Cup. It says on the tote 47 and 12. Did record a very good win 3 starts back at Tiara, which subsequently has run nowhere in its last 2 starts. And I think at best a very outside chance in the DB Auckland Cup.
Here's 12 gauge now. Waddy McEwen of Levin is the trainer, Marie Linden the rider.
Well, he rarely runs a bad race, and he seems to have done everything right for Walter McEwen, and I think he could be very hard to keep out of the money.
The mare is number 13, Royal Heights. Tim Douglas is the man who had such a good family, but it's his son Ross who takes centre stage today with Royal Heights. He owns and trains her with his wife, and Warwick Robinson will ride her.
What a magnificently bred mare this is. Royal Heights is by Sir Tristram out of Claudine, an excellent family. She was an Oaks winner last year. I don't think there'll be much doubt about her getting the distance. She came home extremely well behind Solvig in the Clifford Plate here on Boxing Day, and I rate Royal Heights a big chance in the Auckland Cup.
Last year you would have rated Threesome a big chance too, Grant. Number 14, but she's struggling for form at the moment.
It's hard to see her making much of an impression. She didn't do all that well in the Queen Elizabeth, and she's only weighed in once in the last half dozen starts or so.
Number 15, Beaver Boy, has already gone in. We've seen Fort Cheval, number 16, who has to be considered a chance. Kotare Chief is the horse that is likely to be somewhere there near the pace. And then you have to consider the 2 lightweights, Regimental March and Brook Bond. And probably of the 2, Regimental March stands out as the one that could upset this DB Auckland Cup field. So Jack Mudford, the starter now, has the field virtually assembled. 5 or 6 to go in, which is about to get underway. Here's our course commentator today, Keith Hobb, who'll describe the 1987 DB Auckland Cup.
A set now. Lou a little toey. They settle and race in the DB Auckland Cup. A little slow out was Whitall and Royal Heights, and back also was Fort Cheval. Racing to lead 12 gauge, and there goes Bounty Hawk. He's going to go up quickly. The Filbert's going up on his outside and got over very quickly. Followed out behind them Brook Bond, then followed Lack of Reason. On the inside, Joel, 12 gauge. There's Kotare Chief, squeeze for room. There's Solveig going up on its outside. A link back, Daria's Fun. Beaver Boy pushed back on the inside, then followed out Royal Heights. Fort Cheval is the next one from Threesome, then Blyme, then followed back in the field now. Here's Lou on the outside of Whitall, and 2 back then is Eastern Joy as they race past the 800 metres the first occasion, and Regimental March is last. Now Brook Bond's raced round to lead now. Solveig racing keenly in second place, and there goes Kotare Chief up on the outside. He's going to take the lead. A reshuffle. Bounty Hawk got back 4th on the inside rail as they come towards the turn the first occasion. Lack of Reason on its outside. 2.5 back. The Filbert settles nicely on the inside of Daria's Fun, Port Cheval. Then followed Joel as they come off the false rail into the straight. Midfield now is 12 gauge on the inside of it, Joel, then Beaver Boy. Then followed by Royal Heights, 3 deep Blue, about 1.5 Threesome, then Whitall. They're followed back by second last as Eastern Joy, just ahead of it, Blyme, and tailed off Regimental March. Pace on in this year's Cup as they go down towards the post. A round to go, and it's Kotare Chief has slipped away a good 6 lengths now. In second place, Brook Bond, about 1.5 Solveig, travelling nicely, 1.5 Lack of Reason. On the inside, Bounty Hawk. Lou worked up on the outside of these with Daria's Fun. The Filbert settled on the inside of these. Fort Cheval, 3 deep, leaving the straight, then followed out by Joel. 12 gauge in that group, then followed Royal Heights and Beaver Boy. A length and a half to Threesome. They're followed by Whittle, then Blyme, then Eastern Joy, and 4 lengths away Regimental March. And he's 100 metres off the leaders as they work out by the 1400 metres, and they ran the first mile at 1:38.93. Kotare Chief has slipped away. He's got 15 lengths on them as he races to the 1300 metres. In second place is Brook Bond. He's going to try and steal this. Lewin's third place. They're followed by Solvig, then Lack of Reason, then followed Bounty Hawk, Darius Fun. Nobody keen to chase the leader. Then the Filbert on the inside of Fort Javel, then followed round 12 gauge. Joel is next with Whittle. They followed Threesome, then Beaver Boy, then Blyme, then Eastern Joy, and Regimental March is last. 1,000 metres out, and this is the biggest lead in the Cup I've ever seen. Kotare Chief has got 25 lengths lead. In second place is Brook Bond, then followed Lou. Now they're starting to panic, these blokes, and they should. Now Darius Fun is next, Solvig on the inside, then followed by the Filbert on the outside of it. Next is Fort Javel. These are all in a bunch, but there's a one-horse go, and he's away by 20 lengths. Kotare Chief going towards the turn, being niggled at a little, but he's got 20 lengths to spare. In second place, Lack of Reason, Brook Bond, then Darius Fun, then followed Solvig, Bounty Hawk. 3 back to 12 gauge, then followed Royal Heights, then the Filbert being well niggled at as they come round the turn. He's got a big break. He can almost lie down and have a rest. He's in front, Kotare Chief, 15 to 20 lengths. Darius Fun, then followed by in third place, Lack of Reason, 12 gauge, Royal Heights. Kotare Chief starting to stagger. He's got 12, 15 lengths clear though. Darius Fun then followed 12 gauge as he goes towards the post. Kotare Chief, he's got 15, 20. They're never going to get him. What a ride. Kotare Chief has got as well. Second place, 12 gauge out wide, Royal Heights. The fight is only for the minors. Kotare Chief wins it. He bolted in. 12 gauge second, Plato's third, Threesome, and then Eastern Joy. They were followed home behind these Blyme, then Darius Fun followed home behind that lot as they went across Royal Heights, a tired lot behind the leader. Then Regimental March, then followed home by Darius Fun. Next is Beaver Boy, then followed home by Bounty Hawk. Brook Bond was next, then well back towards the rear, Solvig. Fort Javel walking across the line with Lack of Reason, Lou, and back there also Joel.
Well, well, what can you say about that? Jock Caddigan has stolen the DB Auckland Cup and has stolen it in the grandest style that you'll ever see. What a marvellous performance. Kotare Chief, the grand old stayer, has done it, and done it in great style. A marvellous finish to the DB Auckland Cup of 1987, and this man will have a smile on his face as wide as the Auckland Harbour Bridge, because he's beaten the best stayers in the country, and he's done it in the most dramatic style that has ever been experienced in the running of this great race. What a performance. Well, let's go to the final stages of the race and see how he did it. Kotare Chief
takes a brave jockey to do it, Phil, and I'll be interested to know he's smashed the track record. 3:16.63 for the 3200. Look at him, way out in front there. Lack of Reason's firing on. The grey is 12 gauge. Bounty Hawk's firing too, but he's starting to tire now. Jock Caddigan's moving his hands up and down Kotare Chief's neck. This is different from chasing the Frisians and the Jerseys on the Ryan Farm at Waiharoa. Out comes the stick. Kotare Chief keeps going. 12 gauge is desperate. Threesome's coming home. Blimey, but there's daylight and nothing else. What a brave ride from Jock Caddigan. He could have been crucified if he tried this and it had failed, but how it worked in fashion. Kotare Chief, the grey is 12 gauge, getting second. And as they come to the line, a big lineup for the minors. We'll have Threesome, we'll have Blimey, Darius Fun, Eastern Joy, and Royal Heights, all in that lineup behind 12 gauge, the runner-up.
And let's have a look at it from another angle. And there's still only one horse in the race, and it's Kotare Chief. And as Brian said, getting tired, but really has got far too much in store. And no wonder he was out by that distance when he runs 3:16.63 for 2 miles. An amazing performance by Kotare Chief, an 8-year-old, but what a ride from Jock Caddigan. There he is. He's won it by at least 6 or 7 lengths. In second place is 12 gauge, and it looks to me as though Threesome might have run it to third place.
45 to 1, and what a terrific a hand he's getting from this crowd here. They're loving the exhibition that he made of a good Auckland Cup field. You've got to say this was an outstanding performance. Not only just did he do it on his own and did Jock take it away from them, but the Secure Deposits track record of 3:17.18 shattered down to 3:16.63, and I suspect that's probably the fastest 3,200 metres ever run either side of the Tasman. 3:16.63, a brilliant gallop on a brilliantly fast track. Kotare Chief, an 8-year-old gelding by Exceptionnel from Kotare Lass, raced by Sir Richard Bolt and Harold Ryan, trained by Harold Ryan and his son Peter at Waharoa down there just out of Matamata in the Waikato, where so many of New Zealand's great stayers have come from.
Great moment then for Jock Caddigan, certainly his biggest ever success. A man who is not really regarded as a fashionable jockey, spent a wee bit of time down in the Central Districts, now back up here in the Northern region. But what a ride on Kotare Chief. He really set it to the other jockeys. At the 800-metre mark, you might have heard Keith Hobbs say he was 20 metres, 20 lengths in front. He was still 7 or 8 lengths in front at the post.
Well, Grant, I think this just goes to reflect the ups and downs of racing. Here on Boxing Day, you might remember the same young man lined up in one of the minor races at the meeting, the 2-year-old race, and the 2-year-old Vibra was hurt. Jock Caddigan unsettled and sat on the fence and watched the rest of them go round. But here he is today, absolutely basking in the glory of an undoubtedly brilliant and very bold ride.
Just interrupting Brian O'Flaherty there. Jock Caddigan, congratulations. How did you do it?
Well, a lot of help from the horse.
Were you prepared to go that way? Was that the plan, to go as fast as you could?
Well, if there wasn't a quick pace, I was going in front the whole time. So,
Well, you've caused an upset. Look at the crowd. Have you ever experienced anything like that, Jock?
only when I got married.
Congratulations, a tremendous effort. Jock Caddigan, man of the moment there. He's the winner of the DB Auckland Cup aboard Kotare Chief, and what a marvellous performance. He really has turned on a bit of a boil over here today, with 12 gauge taking the second money. Let's take a little bit more of this action here of the DB Auckland Cup success.
The double was $203.75.
Well, of course, upsets aren't unusual in the Auckland Cup. We had Fountain Court a few years ago paying $45 odd to win. Kerry Lane last year paid $40 odd, and Kotare Chief's got to pay $30 odd today. So there are some of the jockeys who chased Jock Caddigan home, and really it was a marvellous ride. He took the initiative in the race and never surrendered it.
The price somewhat shorter than we've been led to believe by the tote as it showed after the race was over. Well, and there they are, 29 to 1 shot, nearly a 30 to 1 shot, $30.75 and $7.20 for Kotare Chief. Number 12 is second, 12 gauge, pays $2.50, and number 14 for third, another lightweight Threesome, pays $8.50. Number 13, Blyme, weighed in for fourth. Number 8 was confirmed as fifth. That was, hold it now, number 13 was, of course, Royal Heights, weighed in for fourth. Number 8, Blyme, was fifth. And number 2, Eastern Joy, was sixth. Now, the rest of those dividends, the trifecta on Kotare Chief and 12 gauge and Threesome paid a whopping $12,572.15. And the Quinella on those first two, 12 gauge and Kotare Chief, $127.70.
Well, I've never really heard a crowd buzzing as much as they are today. It really is a sensational reaction down here in the birdcage to experience a crowd with thunderous long applause and to see the response of what everyone likes to see in a 2-mile race. For so long we see races where horses are pulled up, well, not pulled up, but travel very, very slowly in the early stages and then they sprint home. But today, Jock Caddigan took the option to go out in front and just keep going, and the others, tried as they might, weren't able to keep up. So let's take another look at this DB Auckland Cup from a different point of view. The horse in front, which you can't really see, there he is, about 50 odd metres, 30 odd lengths in front of the field, is Kotare Chief. Now at this stage I wonder what was going through Jock Caddigan's mind. He knew that his horse would have to tire at about now, and he's starting to feel the pressure. You can see the horse's galloping action starting to slow up. The others are obviously panicking. They're coming home very quickly, particularly 12 gauge. Threesome went a great race. There was no doubt about her fitness for this big task. At 12 gauge, rockets home to get the second. But by oh boy, they were too late because Jock, Caddigan and Kotare Chief had slipped the field, and at about now the pressure is really on the old fella. He's starting to feel it, but his ability to stay over 2 miles, he must have run 2.5 today. He's really done a great job as he coasts to the line to win the DB Auckland Cup, and a very good performance indeed. Second home is 12 gauge, a little bit closer for the minor money, but it's Threesome who gets the third placing in this year's Auckland Cup.
Your attention, please. I would like the owner.
Well, we hope our viewers through Sky Channel from Perth have enjoyed coverage of the 1986 Auckland Cup. We've provided you with a race that has everyone stunned here. We hope you've enjoyed it. I hope a couple of you happen to back the winner of the race over there. But this horse has really caused a boil over in the big one of the day. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to your company on another occasion in the future. A little bit of a delay there for a moment or two because we were trying to get hold of a man of the moment in many ways, and that is Peter Ryan, who we'd like to introduce you to, the man who, along with his father Harold, trained Kotare Chief to win the DB Auckland Cup. Well, Peter, did you honestly believe when you got up this morning that you had an Auckland Cup winner in the stable?
Well, not so much a winner, but I knew he had a show. There was a lot of others there with a show too.
Last year was a race that perhaps I suppose you don't want to remember. He virtually got knocked over, was that right?
Yes, the first furlong he got skittled, and that was sort of the end of it for him.
Now, we were talking earlier about who would lead the race, and there were lots of thoughts thrown about. Had you and Jock decided that that was the way it was going to be run or not?
Yes, we've discussed this, for quite some time, and the odd phone call, and we knew that with 1,000 to run that we're either going to ease him up and shuffle him up behind as they were starting to move and get him in all sorts of bother, and then we're going to streak him. But of course they weren't getting close enough to him for him to ease him up and get him shuffling up behind. He was that far in front, he just kept him steaming, and on the turn he said he was still travelling good.
I heard you speaking on a local radio station this morning, and you were giving your thoughts on the race, and you were saying, oh, it'll be interesting to see whether it's going to be a fast race or a slow race, but virtually you'd decided at that stage what way it was going to go.
Well, you've got to play your cards pretty close to your chest, and I prefer to tip my old mate DJ's horse and show the scent the other way, but being realistic, when you've got races like that, there's a lot of very, very good horses, very astute trainers and riders, and you can never guarantee being up top. Yeah, that looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, that's excellent.
You know him so well. How tired was he in those the last 100?
Well, wasn't really concentrating on him that much. He would be starting to wobble a wee bit, I would think. He'd done a lot of donkey work there, but he'd had a very, very long and hard preparation, and the object was to have him ready today, not last week, but today. And of course, with the skimping into the field too, of course, we had a lot on us.
Peter, you've obviously seen the horse since the race. What about a chance to talk with Jock Caddigan? What was Jock's reaction? Did he say anything about how he felt here?
No, he was pretty happy on the turn. He knew that they weren't going to get to him, and he'd ridden the horse enough to know that he was a very, very strong horse, and that he was, he's got no sprint in him. You just can't burst out of the bunch and be there. This horse you've got to wind up a long way out, and that's what we did.
Peter, you paid tribute to a couple of people on the stand, particularly your father, Harold. He wasn't down here at the presentation, I noticed.
No, he runs for cover. He'd be up top there somewhere. But, it was his cup, Philip. He's come a lifetime in racing, and he goes back a very, very long way in racing. In the Blyme Hotel in Thames, where a bloke, Bob Martin, served his apprenticeship, went to Matamata, R.H. Martin, if you research your records, and he actually did an apprenticeship with him. He never rode race day, but he rode all his track work and all his hard pullers, and he learnt the trade and handed it on to me, and of what he's taught me and little bits I pick up on the way, we hopefully learn a little bit more. But it was Dad's cup today, and hopefully I can come back for mine one day.
Well, you tell me you're not a drinking man, so what's the plan? How's the family going to celebrate tonight?
I'll just sit down with the kids and plan the holiday tomorrow that we're going on. And
Well, you got a bit of spending money now.
Yeah, that's right. The kids will give me a hammering.
Well, Peter, we're very happy for you. You saw the crowd response. They obviously enjoyed it. It was a thrilling finish, and congratulations to you and to your father, Harold.
Thanks, fella.
There we are, Peter Ryan, the man who trained, the winner of the DB Auckland Cup today, Kotare Chief. Well, another race.
Gelding Bill of Health from the New Zealand Racing Conference.
Christine Thomas followed up those rumours and discovered the truth of the matter, how the 8-year-old Matamata horse came out of nowhere to win the longest and richest flat race in New Zealand.
It's the horse that many people said must have been doped to win the Auckland Cup. In fact, it's the direct opposite.
History was in the making. The rank outsider, Kotare Chief, was about to set a track record.
Kotare Chief, 15 to 20 lengths. Darius Fun, then followed by in third place.
Chiefy, as he's affectionately known, loves 2 miles and a firm track.
He's got 12, 15 lengths clear though.
He'd been trained for 8 years, all his life, for this one race.
Kotare Chief, he's got 15, 20. They're never going to get him. What a ride. Kotare Chief has got as well. 1 second place, 12 gauge out wide.
The oldest horse in 80 years to win the Auckland Cup.
Chief wins it. He bolted in 12.
And back on the farm at Matamata, life will never be the same for the Ryan family, who train and own Chiefy, the amazing racehorse who's brought them fame and fortune at last. And their secret? It's all back to basics, a wholesome lifestyle. The horse sleeps outside, exercises freely, and eats a simple organic diet.
There's acres of it out there. He can eat weeds, and we don't spray for weeds or whatever. He can eat anything he likes out there. If he wants a gallop, he can have a gallop. There's acres of it.
You don't sort of nurse him in stables and things like that?
No. He runs out there with 5 other horses. A lot of people say, well, you know, you can't train a horse off a grass paddock. You can. Mother Nature sort of balances things up a wee bit. You know, a horse will only eat as much grass as he wants, or his body tells him he'll need.
And while other racehorses are spoon-fed and swept up stables, Chiefy's out working, cutting out some of the 100 dry stock on the farm. There's no pampering this horse. And Chiefy really gets any medication, getting all his vitamins from fresh pastures. And the glory at the stud farm goes on. 6 weeks after Kotare Chief won the cup, his father, the stallion Exceptionnel, peers over the fence as a photographer captures his 8-year-old son and Mr. Ryan Sr. for the Matamata Club's Hall of Fame.
The ambition's fulfilled.
Is it the money from the
No.
cup? No.
Well, if you're worried about money to get rid of horses years ago. It's nice to have, mind you. We haven't got it yet.
And while the Ryans wait for their share of the $175,000 to arrive, the future of their family pet has already been decided.
He'll stay out until the winter. He'll come in about June and just be quietly hacked around the farm and have a tilt on, just on principle, at the Auckland Cup again.
We'll be back with your region's news.
Owners who have given their horses the pellets are innocent of any drugging charges.
The owners of this year's Auckland Cup winner are horrified. The feed company who changed the horse pellet formula, apologetic, and the racing conference confused. For many winning horses this summer have had their drug swab show hordenine, and vets are now checking if the drug speeds up horses.
Kotare Chief, he's got 15, 20. They're never going to get him. What a ride.
The racing conference says people who fed their thoroughbreds and standardbreds the pellets are completely innocent. And it's highly unlikely that people like Kotare Chief's owner, Harold Ryan, will be charged. Trainer Peter Ryan says if he's guilty of doping his horse, then hundreds of others who innocently fed their animals the feed pellets are guilty as well. He's angry. He's the victim of a feed mix-up. He says the whole thing is unbelievable.
Couldn't believe that, you know, people would be saying that. And although people do say that when horses, you know, run away in races, don't they? It's, no horse can do that.
Last November, the feed company slightly changed its pellet formula. After that, the drug test started showing positive. The racing conference says hordenine can occur naturally in barley under certain conditions. Therefore, it's unlikely anyone will be charged with corruption or negligence. However, if the vet finds the drug does affect a horse's performance,